All right, we're live. Hey, everyone, welcome to our latest nutrition masterclass. It's a deep dive this time into what a year of nutrition looks like for performance in Taekwondo. And those two things sometimes are opposed. We think of like health, longevity, what that type of eating well and eating healthy looks like, and also long-term sustainable performance in our sport. Those two things can be challenging, especially when not just weight class, but body composition, performance, athleticism, gaining muscle, gaining improvement, improving your skills are all kind of at odds with each other because we can't be the master of every single thing, right? We have to pick and choose where we're going to put our energy at, where we put our focus to, and we're going to go over kind of how some effective strategies around that I've used for athletes around the world. There's some of the best practices that the USOC recommend, that top nutritionists, dietitians recommend around the world, and that I've had a lot of success working with Olympians, helping create world champions. Actually, have more world champions in Pumse than Taekwondo. So this stuff is things that not only do I use myself, but we use with our top people. If you don't know me, I'm Coach Tim Thackrey. I'm the Director of Education for USA Taekwondo. Uh, let's jump into it, shall we? Raise your hand here and give me a thumbs up in the comments if you competed, if nationals was your biggest event of the year. So we're going to kind of get with it from that framework. I want to go over a 12-month cycle here because nationals ended. We'll use that as our kind of anchor. That doesn't mean this only works if nationals is your biggest event. If states is your biggest event, we'll look at how to kind of arc that over the year. If you're someone looking at team trials, world championships on that end, it'll all make sense. And we'll go over to kind of how to figure those things out and diagnose what's most important. But just know this: if I say, hey, based on nationals, that's it, and you think nationals is either way too hard for me or nationals is way too easy for me, that's all good. That's the start of a 12-month cycle. We'll be building it here so you have the tools for the next 12 months. Okay? I'm going to share my screen here, and everyone give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Here, it says Fueling for Taekwondo, Year-Round Nutrition Masterclass. Okay, if we can see that, let me see if I can see the chat. Then we're solid. Okay, great. Awesome. We're doing wonderfully. We're doing wonderfully. All right. So this is going to be talking about performance. Performance is predicated on recovery. And then when I say weight class mastery, what that is a lot, think of it as more, I don't want to talk too much about specific body composition pieces just because there's so many ways to skin the cat in Taekwondo. There's no one ideal body type that is the best. That's true for Pumse. Look at the people across the years that have won the world championships for our country in Pumse. You see a great diversity there, but they each have an optimal one for them. Same with sparring, right? There are people you say, oh, you have to be tall in there. There are people at every body type doing well when it's the right one for them. That doesn't mean they're trying to get away with not being dialed in. They're all very dialed in, I assure you there. So I want to go over why this all works here. First thing, nutrition. This is our performance foundation. We talked about it in the last masterclass that training is the process of breaking our body down. And so training, which everyone here loves to train, everyone here loves to get after it. I hope that's why you're here. It's hard to really get good at Taekwondo if you don't do that, right? And that's how we get better initially. You reach a certain part where training alone isn't sufficient. And I don't know any world-class athlete in any spectrum of Taekwondo that just is like, I show up to class and then I do whatever I want. I don't think that works. And I think if you think about it, you're like, yeah, it's a little silly there. And then obviously it's not just about game day. That was our last class. If you have questions, go back and review that class in our university there. It's all set for you about the game day prep. That's the tip of the spear. None of that works, in my opinion, without this. This is the bottom of the iceberg. This is what moves everything forward. So these are going to be applicable if you are, a coach, support staff, student, wherever you're at here. This is going to be probably the most applicable thing that works with everyone in our sport. Again, game day, it gets very idiosyncratic. There are differences between freestyle fueling, Pumse fueling, and sparring fueling. There are big differences there. These you'll start to see in the beginning. You're like, this is kind of general. Exactly. That's the point. So our jump off. We're finished with nationals or your biggest event of the year. Is nationals A stressful event or a relaxing time? Team trials, relaxing or stressful? Worlds, relaxing or stressful? It is high stress. So even if you're not in a weight class division, the amount of stress that it puts on your body, on your nervous system to perform really well usually does a couple things. When stress is high, it suppresses our immune system, right? When stress is high, it inhibits our recovery, right? If you think about it, how many people here have lingering injuries that don't quite heal before a big tournament? Yeah, you can't take the time off to do it. Your body's pumping up to perform at a really high level. It's not going to put energy towards healing these things. So part of that's necessary. You don't want to be in a recovery state leading into the event. You want to be in a performance state. So these two pieces go. So the first thing we're going to go through is actually what we call the reverse diet. And everyone does this wrong. Okay. A lot of these pieces, and if you do this right, high five, you have my respect. Almost no one does this wrong. We finish the event, we're done. What does everyone do? They're going to go eat. They're going to eat what they want when they want, right? They're not training. You're off. It's like you're on vacation there. A reverse diet is a specific term we're looking for here that is a gradual return to maintenance calories after cuts. And I use the term cut, not again for weight class, but it is this de-stressing side here to help your body heal and rebuild. And so this works for Poomse and sparring. Everyone here is under the same amount of stress because stress is perceptual, meaning it's what we perceive or think about before the big events. So you getting ready for finals and your body is going, oh crap, we have this big thing coming up that's producing different hormones that help get you through it. Adrenaline, cortisol, stress hormone, things that get you up and dialed in. They are very necessary, but when we're up high on there, chances are, even if you're not in a big weight class event, you might not be super hungry on game day. You know, Poomse athletes I know that undereat on game day. They don't have a 5% reweigh in the next day. It's hard to eat for these reasons. So when that comes down and then we go up super high eating, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. This applies to everyone. So there's a de-stress period. We have to kind of let our body return to heal and move up. The action steps here I want to give you, and every slide I want to have a little action step for. One, it's how do we transition out of this deficit? How do we restore performance and capacity? And how do we prevent the rebound weight gain? I call this the weight creep. You cut weight there, or you have a big event, and you come back, and how much is your weight up? Half a pound. You do it again, you compete again, come back up half a pound. Compete 10 times over a year. All of a sudden now, you're either in a different weight class or a different body composition. You're not performing like you want. Not performing like you want. So the goal here is we have to increase our calories with the weight being set. So the formula generally here I'll give you, and these are general ones, you have to look at them specifically. If you're, let's say someone's down to 1,500 calories, the goal is to increase every week about 10% of those calories to add on until you're back to your maintenance level. So let's say someone's maintenance level, meaning their regular level of calories is 2,000, to give you an easy example. Or 2,000. I'll show you how do we find that. I'll show you in the next slide. Let's say it's 2,000. Okay? They're at 1,500. Whether it's they had to make weight, they weren't prepared, they got nervous, they didn't like the foods there, something, they were running on lower calories. 10% of 1,500 is what? 150. So that means the next week they ate 1,650 calories. And we go up in weight, we go up in calories of what happens? Weight stays the same and digestion stays the same. So now we go up 10% again. 10% of 1,650 is 165. So now we're at about 1,835. So by week 2, we're up to 1,835, but their body's running a little better. They're starting to heal. They're de-stressing. You're probably not training crazy after the event either. Hopefully there's a little time to repair and restore. So you're also not burning quite as much. That's how we can ramp up. The third week, we do 10% again. What's 10% of 1,830? 183. Let's add 183 to 1,830. What number do you have? About 2,000, right? So in 3 weeks, We have slowly ramped you back up to a maintenance level versus the, nothing matters. I don't care about this. I'm going to eat pizza and ice cream and I'm off the radar. Your body can't heal there. It suppresses, it's when it's suppressed, your basal metabolic rate, you guys can all write this term down, your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, right? That's how much we burn in a day. That'll be in the next slide. And we drastically increase calories. What do we think is going to happen? Magically going to go away? We're not, it's not going to work that way. So we want to increase those calories again, especially protein will be the one that a lot of people go low on when they travel. The events don't have a lot of great protein options, much more specific. And then we were looking for digestion recovery markers. Sound good so far? Okay, the way we do this is we look at this, we talked about it in the last course, is with measurements, right? The in-body scan is wonderful. It's very accurate. It gives us a readout of body weight, of skeletal muscle mass, body fat percentage, water, distribution over your body. The challenging part of an in-body is you don't have it in your house. So it's hard to see the trend. You can go and you go maybe every month, every few weeks or whatever. It's hard to use. So this Hume scale here on the right that says body measurements on the right of my slide deck here gives us a readout of everything, of your actual body weight, your lean muscle mass, which is the goal. Our goal is to gain lean muscle over the year to improve performance, right? Body fat does not contract. It's muscles that contract. Okay, so if we say my weight went up and your body fat went up, I don't really care necessarily about your body fat percentage. I mean, from an athletic standpoint, how does that help you get better? I don't see it. So that's the idea here. We're looking at that. We're looking at bone density. We're looking at other stuff. I'll share my screen here on my own Hume. I have this, and I'll see if you can this here. And it'll show a readout of all these parts. Even more importantly, you can now aggregate it on a weekly aggregation. So you can see the weekly trends because any one day, what happens? Any one day can be down or up. And you go, I'm down, I'm up. But over the week, you can see the actual trends. And most importantly for you all, it gives you a trend of what's called our basal metabolic rate. So this is the next thing we have to look into. I'll share my screen again. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you know what your BMR is and why this is important for this initial phase of rebuilding. Okay, I see a lot of people here unsure of what it is or how it works. The Hume app B, I've had you and your guys on it. It's the best. It's called Hume. I'll type it up here in the chat. Hume. It's a scale you purchase. It's about $200. I'm not a spokesman for them yet, but I'm working on it. But right now, just go to the site. There's no commission, nothing. Just go get an awesome tool that I told you that will help you. And you see some of the top people in the sport using. So it's great. I have some Olympians on it. Other stuff. It's wonderful. So people don't know the term BMR. So what this is, it's how much your body burns in a day on average without working out, without exercising, without movement, without digestion. There's all these other terms that our body have metabolic processes that are not in the scope of this session. They help us burn. So I know now if my BMR is 1750, well, guess what? That's how many calories I burn if I do nothing. So the goal here after reverse diet is to decrease my BMR to increase it. What should I be hoping to do here? I should be hoping to increase that because what's the advantage here? I can burn more calories. I can have more energy when I train. All these positive things can happen here for me, and we'll get into that next. So this is where we have our recalibration. It's our planning for growth. So we can't just jump into a surplus now. Tim said to increase my BMR, I better go eat more. That's not the next step. The next step is this in the year. We're still early. We're still a couple weeks after nationals. We might be riding high off a win. We might be licking our wounds like I've done many times, going, how do I change this? How do I get better for the year? Because everyone's getting better. Everyone's trying to get better. You're not the only people in the world that have the plan of, I should get better this year. Right? We have to decide early what changes we need to make. Are you going to go up in a weight class? You need to gain muscle. You need to change your body comp. You need to get more athletic so you can do a jump flip and 5 kicks in the air like all the freestyle people do that I can't do even on the ground, right? One thing here to look at, especially for coaches and parents, I want to say it's really clear. You don't know next year's body size as you're growing. You don't know it. Okay. I hope I can say that as nicely and as clearly as I can. You don't know it. When you grow, you're going to grow. Okay. Oh, the doctor said the doctor doesn't know. They don't know. They're guessing. They're all guessing. Okay. Because when you grow and think about it, think about people you know, all of a sudden they sprout up. Some take longer. I took a long time, right? I was 5 foot tall and 88 pounds my freshman year of high school. That's a lot of fun, right? And then all of a sudden the next year, I was what 5'7", 125. Most of my friends that happened to them at 12. It's hard to tell, right? My parents, it's hard to tell. So we don't know. So if we're going to try and artificially keep the scale down and keep the body comp down, what else are we doing with that then? It means we're necessarily pushing down things like our BMR. And that pushes us back into this place here where we're back into a deficit. And that pushes us back into a place of our bodies running on high stress to get through that. When we have high stress, is our body going to heal the injuries it has? No. So we already set these pieces up of why they may be necessary in the short term, but long run, they have massive implications. Okay. So because we don't know what it's going to be, yeah, Shane, 5'3", 103. Shane, next year you might be 5'7", 130. Right? There's no way. You probably thought it happened your sophomore year. We don't know when that's going to happen. It just happens. Okay. So our goal is obviously, most importantly, because there is no one body type that works for Taekwondo. You see, all body types prevail when they are the optimal body type for that person. That doesn't mean not to worry about it. It means what's the optimal body comp for you? And I urge you to go look at our history of different world champions and Poomsae sparring, and you'll see similarities, but different ones. But they're all the best for them. Our goal is to build skills, performance, and not just scale weight, because the scale doesn't tell us what's underneath that. What's underneath that matters in both the metaphorical sense and the real sense, right? I mean, underneath it, like who you are matters the most. If you have an X-ray, if you got that dog in you, it's my favorite meme ever. The rib cage, and they have all the dogs in them. I want that as my new screensaver here on Zoom. But we're going through it in that sense. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. That before we even get into here training, boom, these things we'll get to next. We've got to really look at like, what do I need to win? What do I need to improve? What do I need to keep loving doing this? And if it's a long-term deficit, if you are injured all the time, if you're not showing up to practice with energy, you can't focus, you're dreading it. We wonder, why do these people quit? Why'd they? Oh, I can't. I don't like talking about that, let alone doing it daily. That stinks, man. I'd probably quit too. And we don't. We want to keep people in our sport healthy and doing the best there. So there's strategies around that. And your goals and action steps here are to, when I say rebuild metabolism, I mean your BMR and your metabolic function. Okay. Repeat this after me or write it down. That muscle is metabolically costly. Right? Muscle is metabolically costly. What does that mean? It takes more energy, takes more on your BMR, right, to keep muscle on your body than body fat. Okay? Bones get denser from having more muscle. All the things that are both healthy and longevity based and performance based. So these general parts, everyone gets to win on. Okay? So we want that to happen. That means you can eat more food. That means you can have better carbs pre-training, all these things that are great. We're looking to test and adapt foods and understand which foods do we run best on, right? There are food testing we can do. There are gut microbiome tests that we can do. There are weight management tests we can actually do and look at blood panels. We can look at the microbiome in your gut to find out what type of food sensitivities you have, what type of specific supplementation you need, what type of foods you eat more of or less of. We don't have to guess with these things. Again, I'm using data and testing to get through these to get it sooner. Okay? Your action steps here are there. Look into the food testing. If you want that, message me on that. That's just Tim at justcompound.com. If you have questions about the food testing, weight management testing, different panels and stuff, what to do, If we cannot create consistency in this step, right? We're on slide 7, and we get to here, competition practice foods. Do we have any hope of being able to carry that out? No, you have no consistency, right? Imagine a student that can't throw a back kick at all. They throw it like once out of 100 times, and it's the finals, and you're like, "Bro, you need a back kick right now." Like, it's not going to happen, man. Like, you wouldn't do that, I hope, but we see it, and we wonder why it goes bad. So right here is consistency in this phase. That's why I call it recalibration. We're resetting your numbers, the things you take in, the foods you like, the foods you need to do this. And that is built on consistency. Those are your base foods, the things we can do regularly. We're tracking digestion. We're using Hume, the panels, etc. We're avoiding the long-term calorie trap. And like I said, if you can't execute consistently now, we're just going to go to what happens. And when you are stressed, let's go back to that stress example. When you are stressed out or you have a friend that's stressed, what do we tell them? Hey, take a breath. Hey, calm down. Why? Because they're not themselves. They're not themselves. You want them to be them. You make crazy choices when you're stressed out. So if we have a bad foundation, we don't rise to the level of our competition. What do we fall to? The level of our training. And nutrition is the same thing. Nutrition is something that we practice consistently. This phase is all about that. Give me a thumbs up if I'm making sense so far, and we can progress into some more specifics now around this stage and some of the next stages. Give me a thumbs up. I'll have a sip of. Awesome, you guys rock. This is going great so far. All right, here we have to look at now what are our regular meals. We'll get into specific meals yet, but in this recalibration phase, right, we are recalibrating the foods, we're integrating the plans, the testing data, all these things into a plan. We're not worried about game day optimization yet. We're worried about how do I get you healthy and strong and in the right body composition to have the most training time possible? Because this is where we're going to spend a lot of time training. There are differences between anytime meals here and what I call pre or post workout meals. We have to understand the difference of those. There are different foods we take in different ones. Specifically, for most athletes, not all, the testing will set you free. The testing will show, right? The tracking will show. But for most athletes at any age, a little more carbohydrates pre or post workouts are a really good thing. If you're unsure of what the macronutrients do, please go back to the university and watch the nationals prep course where I break down each one in detail. I'm not going to do the same thing every time. Okay, but carbohydrates are our fast fuel. And all of this, again, I have a question here in the slides. It'll all be stored in your university there for you, Natal. Okay, the other one is our regular daily plate. So for health, longevity, healing, different foods do different things. And if you don't think so, go give your 5-year-old some rice and then go give them a soda. See what happens to them. Right? I have the kids 8 and 4. It's obvious. These foods, oh, it's not the same. It's very different. Okay, so we have different meals for different things. This is what we're looking for again in that recalibration phase. How long does that last? As long as it needs to last, but as short as we want it to, because that's not real training time. That's, again, recalibration. You're getting the train tracks, the train wheels on the track. What has to happen next is what I call the main gain phase. All right. It is a combination of maintenance, meaning long-term execution, and gaining, making progress. I hate the term maintenance because maintenance feels like you're floating in water. It's drifting. Whatever happens kind of happens, but we want to be in control of our progress and our performance. Right? Main gain is the opposite of cutting. It is a careful increase in calories. Again, you can't just eat whatever. I did the testing. I run great on these foods. We have to know kind of how much to eat too. Our body comp, all these things, again, back to knowing the data. It's very simple. You can get that scale at Hume right now. You'll have the data really quickly. It gets really clear. I have testing I can help understand then based on the data there. Here's how much to eat. Here's how much to do. Here's your training meals, etc. What are the goals? The goal is to, in our sport, right? You can't just get, I don't know if someone who is 7'3", 400 pounds, it'd still be very hard to get good at Taekwondo there. It's possible, but it's tougher, right? Our goals are to build muscle because muscle is what helps us stay athletic and to raise our basal metabolic rate because why? because muscle is metabolically costly. It helps us have more food pre-workout. We can recover more. We can have food after workout so our body can repair. We sleep better is where the magic happens, right? That's where we get transformed by time. Raise your BMR without unnecessary fat gain, right? And body fat. Unnecessary meaning if the calorie surplus that we're not using, what happens to it? Magically disappear? It doesn't. Okay? It's our body's going to store it the wrong way. So we want to make sure, again, we're increasing, but we're using it. So over time here, our body adapts the right way. We have to develop the right muscle fiber types for Taekwondo performance. That's a big, big goal here. How do you get better? Just magically want it more? Everyone wants it. So we have to look at what are the physical steps we can do to carry this out. The goals and actions up here. Progressive caloric increase based on the metrics and how you adapt. Again, how do you adapt? Everyone adapts differently. That's the progress. That's the goal of all of this is progress, right? Not just to have a meal plan and like it's kind of fun to do that. It's not fun. It's fun to have a bowl of ice cream and not care. But if you want to get good at the sport and you understand the tenets of things like self-discipline and what that really means about controlling what you put in your body to get the end result when you need it, that's great. Pairing this with a Taekwondo specific plan. It's got to work with your Taekwondo plan. When do you train? When do you recover? What do you do at each practice? That's important. And then, especially as people get more advanced in Taekwondo practice becomes the expression of what you do. It's the strength and conditioning stuff, either around practice or outside of practice, that help you improve as an athlete. So a specific plan that pairs nutrition with this matters. And what am I coming back to? Track the trends, right? Is it working or not? Are you getting better at Taekwondo? Right? And that's one of the things that should matter. Are you actually getting better at the sport? Are you recovering? Are you enjoying training? Those are the metrics we're looking at on the qualitative side. On the quantitative side is, are you gaining muscle or not, right? Is your body composition going to where you wanted it when we set that goal? Okay? Those are things we're actually looking at here. And we want to spend as much, I want to answer, how much time do we want to spend in this main gain phase? A little bit of the year or a lot of the year? A little or a lot, right? We said with the recalibration, we want to spend as little time there as possible, as much as we need, but as little time because we want to be here where we're making progress as much as you can. Okay, we want to be here a lot. That means you're getting better, 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 better. Stack that over 4 years. How good are you? You're a stud. People go, what happened? Or they go, oh, you were always good at this. No, you weren't. You stacked 5 years of this because we'll come back to the slide. I'll keep giving myself the shout out because you knew your numbers. You had a plan of what you could do, that you could consistently execute it. We did that first. What can you, again, if I say eat chicken, rice, and broccoli, and your 3 foods you hate the most in the world are chicken, rice, and broccoli, even if the data shows that, are you going to eat that stuff? Not a chance, man. Not going to work. All right, so that's the InBody plan. Once we've got that, we know the data, we know the numbers. Now, pairing it with these plans, what does that look like? It says here, pair fueling with specific TKD plans there. What does that look like? Well, now we can make adjustments based on the testing, based on the data, based on the things we know you can consistently execute. And on an easy day, do we have a little bit of carbs or a lot of carbs? Type it up in the chat. Easier day here. Hey, you guys got me now? Better audio? A little less. Okay, I see my audio is there. On a moderate, most of your days are going to be moderate. Why are most of our days moderate? No, it's less carbs there. On a moderate day, you see it's in the middle. There's carbs, there's veggies, there's protein. It's a very balanced plate. We have enough fuel to perform. Why are most of our days moderate? Because you can't be at 100% all the time. Every tournament isn't 10 out of 10. We'll get into that in a second. Not everything is an emergency. You ever get emails from people where that it's like 911 not everything's 911, nothing's an emergency anymore. And the previous slide here on the athlete plate, is this the one, Carmen, to do? And again, this whole slide deck will be in the university for you guys. There, this is the moderate training, and then a couple times a week, when you have the energy or it's the time to really empty the tank, we have our hard training day. What do we see the differences here between the hard day and the easy day? Hard day, easy day. And let's go back here. Look at this. This is the general day, back when we were in that recalibration. A little bit of carbs. What's our plate? What do we need? We've taken that information and now gone boom, boom, and it's a lot more higher. Yeah, man, it's higher carbs, but is it any type of carbs? Ones you can eat, the ones you can digest, the ones you work for, the ones your body can process, right? We talked about here, the ones that your body actually works well on, because your foods don't work the same as my foods. There's similarities, but there's differences here that are very specific that may not be good. You may be type 2 diabetic. Then doing that may be the last thing you need. We have to actually spend more time here in recalibration. So again, just coming out of this and saying, Tim said eat more carbs, hard training, I'd say you're missing the point and you didn't listen carefully enough to these parts. Okay, so we're here. We want to spend as much time as possible here because this is where progress is made. We've done all that work. We know what our goals are, our new goals. We know what the foods we like are. We know what our body comp is. We know what the body comp we need to be at. We know our training schedule. We know how to pair now our training, our strength and conditioning with the plates of each day and each practice there. So we're doing great. Now the goal becomes not nationals yet. It might be October. It might be November. It might be the finals coming up here in Jacksonville. And we say, I need to practice these fueling things at local tournaments and rumbles before nationals, meaning hard practices. So you have enough stress that your body's like, can I eat this or not? But not too little stress where you just eat pizza and go beat everyone up. That's not hard enough for it to feel real. We're differentiating between pre-training and competition meals. So this meal here for a hard training race day, like it's comp day. When I say race, like it's all out day. Is this a good one for maybe, a couple hours before your competition or for 9 in the morning? Probably better for pre-comp, right? This might be better for the morning. Okay, we have to understand those and do it enough times that you can learn, here's what I take on game day. Here's what I take the night before. And you're not sitting there guessing like, guess I should have some pasta. I don't know. Again, that's back to guessing. We have the whole year to work on this. These small events here are massively important. Massively important. And for a lot of you, those will be local tournaments and rumbles that you can get by, but you're not getting the point or the benefit from them if you use that approach. With some of the Olympians that I work with, we use events like G2s and stuff like that as their practice events to work on this. So everyone has your high event, the ones that are here a little lower, practice these things on. Okay? And what I want you to do is create a tested game day playbook that this is what I eat. This is how long I go. This is the bar I have. This is the thing I drink. And you know that. Your goals and action steps here, I've tried to have an action step for every single slide here to leave you with something usable, is test the foods before your comps. I want you to be able to train digestion under stress, right? We say stress suppresses our digestion. I want you to try and work on it that your body can break these foods down well. And then we finally nail our pre and post competition fueling. Use small events for it. I have the game day crush it guide. If you want that, I think it's on here. Let me tell you where it's all stored. I think it's here on this one. If not, I'll message me. I'll get it to you. And then refine your strategies for multi-fight or multi-Poomse rounds. You have a quarterfinal, a semi-final. We need those things to happen. And finally, we've gotten through, let's do a quick recap. We've gotten through reverse diet, getting out of after nationals, right? We've got here to where we recalibrated. We've understood what do we need to change, what are the foods we do, what are the testings we have to get to increase these numbers. We try to build for consistency, right? We're in that main gain phase where we're actually increasing our food for a long time. We cannot stay in a caloric deficit for a year. If you do, it's going to be really hard to make any progress. And all you're doing then is saying, if I was just a little smaller, I'd be better. And I don't think that's the case. Again, go look at our top performers. None of them are going, if I was just a little less of me, I'd be better. Sparring, Pumse, I don't see that happen. They all have different body compositions, but they are in the optimal one for them. They're different, but for them it works. So know that if you're in, doesn't mean you can get away with being whatever. It means you got to be in the right one for you, and you may not be there yet. We go to the main gain phase. We understand our plates, how to fuel. We practice this for pre-comp, and now it's season planning. Every event and every year cannot be 11 out of 10 importance. I've got Coach Tim Thackrey's backyard throwdown. I got it. I got to cut weight for this. I don't think you do. I think you'd be better off eating well and showing up. Doesn't mean there's not a time to cut weight for it. Sure. But Tim, as much as I want to be the world champion of Coach Tim Thackrey's backyard throwdown, Fiesta, it is not the one most likely for you to waste that energy on, because you only have so much time and energy to cut. It's not an unlimited resource, because when we cut, we're not improving. We are expressing, meaning we're getting ready for the event. Main gain is our improvement. This is where we're improving. It has gain in the title. We're improving. We have building years versus performance years. Even with our top national team members, do every one of them put the pedal to the metal in 2025? Or are they saving a little for 2027 when it's qualification time? They're also not taking it easy. So we're trying to navigate through the year based on principles like these. So that way, when it is time for the Olympics, time for world championships, time for your nationals, you know what to do and when to do it. All right. They're not just like, it's an easy year. They're going very hard. Okay. But there's also different levels of this, and everything can't be the most urgent thing in the world. Right? There are building events versus performance events. Shane said something. Call and read that. Shane says, and right there, that was worth the admission on a Sunday morning. I don't need to cut weight for every single competition on the calendar. Shane, if that's a takeaway, I hope that's probably the biggest takeaway for everyone here. When it's time to drop the hammer, drop the hammer. Other than that, what should be the goals? Let's come back. Again, there's an order I put these in. The goals here are, right, increase your muscle, develop the right muscle fiber types, get the right skills for Taekwondo, right, pair with the fueling. All these things are really, really critical. So if I belabor that too much, I don't think I've said it enough. Plan in advance. When are you cutting? When are you not cutting? Okay. I know events. This one, I'm just going to show up and fight. And what if I get third at it? I wasn't trying to win Coach Tim Thackrey's Backyard Rumble Fiesta. I was trying to get better. Okay.
Well, yeah, but
whoever's unmuted, please mute yourself. Thank you. Awesome. The goal steps. You can't peak every month. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. That's not peaking. The same way that most of our meals are moderate. Because not every day is your hardest day ever. Most days are train, get better, train, get better, train, get better, and then we have the peak. Okay? So same thing here. Not everything is urgent. Not everything's an emergency. Not everything is the biggest tournament in the world. Take them seriously. Learn, go through, practice those guides, but everything is not the most important thing. Right? Decide your competition priorities early. Don't wait till the night before and go, we don't really want to take this one seriously. That's not it. Okay? Map out cutting and non-cutting seasons and events so you know in advance. When you do it, do it. Otherwise, you should be trying to get better. And finally, Align your recovery to avoid burnout. And what's recovery? Where do we go back to? Type it up if you know where to align recovery to avoid burnout. What phase do we go back to here? Let's see who's been paying really good attention. We'll go to the final slide, then Q&A. Here, we did this. We have our events. We have our stuff. We map it out. Where would we go to align recovery to avoid burnout? Boom, back to the start. You see this, how we have a cycle now for the year? You do this, you have the big events, you gradually return calories increase. And hopefully, if it's a small event, you do that in a couple days. And it's no big deal. And if it's a bigger event, US Open, Nationals, Finals, you do it in a week or two. And that once or twice a year that you really go hard, like I said, it takes a couple weeks to do it because for every ounce of output we have to have an ounce of recovery. You know the scales, it's like the scale like this, right? The old liberty and justice scale. They are even. And every time you put a little more into output, recovery is here. What has to happen next? You have to do that. I'll stop sharing so you can see it better than my little thing, right? Output recovery. If I push on output, this is output, I push hard down, recovery is less. That's why we're under recovered before events. Normal, right? Like things don't heal, stress is high. After the event, we push on this one, and you go, but what about output? They have to be balanced over the year. They have to be here. Okay. Hopefully, that is something that you start to look into more. There is so much growth in that side for you if you do. All right. And again, a few of these things, if you're like, Tim says that a lot, I'm saying it a lot for a reason. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Let's see. Game day nutrition, right? There's that Crush It guide there. We went over on the Nationals broadcast for nutrition mastery for optimal performance for Nationals. Post weigh-in strategies, refuel strategies, things like hydration, electrolytes, carb timings, the multiple fights or Poomsae rounds. All those things now we've worked on. That's very. I did a whole session on that. I did 90 minutes just on that part. Just on that part. So all those things, we're not going to get into game day strategies today because you can go find it in the university or you can message me and we'll figure it out. But that's the tip of the iceberg. Does that make sense now that everyone wants this? Everyone's like, when do I have sodium and potassium before weigh-ins? And I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you this. None of it makes sense, right? None of it makes sense without that context. It's like, tell me what kick should I do? What would I ask you if I was a good coach? I would say, what kicks are you good at? What kicks is your opponent bad at? Right? Linda's laughing because it's like it's once you think about it, it's obvious, right? You're like, yeah. But with nutrition, everyone's like, thinks it's broccoli, chicken, rice. I can just tell you. Tell me what to eat. Do you like eating this? Does your body digest it well? When do you need it? How hard are you training today? How far out of a tournament are you? What's your goal are you trying to do? The same thing that everyone here is really good in Taekwondo at, right? If your opponent has a great back kick, I don't know, maybe don't kick them in the stomach. They're going to back kick you. Okay, right? Maybe kick them in their back. Seems simple enough, right? But no, but again, it's laughably obvious how that is there. And my point is, it's the same thought process here, the same logical thought process here that gets us there. But we just never got educated on it. We never got educated on it. And this is coming from someone who was on the national team for almost a decade. It was just like, okay, I don't know. I remember. I'm talking about Linda because she was my teammate on this trip. You went to Japan for World Cup 2002. Went to Japan, cut weight in the sauna. And what meal in Japan did I absolutely have to have post weigh-ins? Had to have street ramen, didn't I? Had to have street ramen. And I was like,
the best thing ever.
oh, this is the best. But it was also insane, but it was so good. So the night
So
before,
good.
I'm just like fighting like this. My fingers look like little sausages, man. I couldn't make a fist. Yeah. So uh I'm gonna type into the chat. I'll go back to the slide deck, but that's the idea that Those pieces are the final ones. Those other pieces matter so much more. Key concepts to remember. We'll get into Q&A here for a few minutes. Nutrition phases are cyclical, not one time. We have to master each phase. So when you are going and you say, I'm going to a local event and you're not taking it seriously, what you're doing is you're not learning the skill you need for nationals. You're not learning the skill you need for this. Just like if you fought someone who wasn't as good as you and you're like, I could take it easy. You could. Why even do it then? Or yeah, I'm doing poomsae, I'm doing freestyle poomsae, and everyone here stinks, and I'm the best dude, so I'll just do it easy. Why even go then? You should be trying to learn something from that event. There's somewhere to learn here. So same with each of these phases. And every time you go through them, you get better and better until you know exactly why it's so funny that me thinking ramen was going to be a great meal before the World Cup was a nightmare, right? Okay. Lifestyle matters. Sleep, mindset, recovery. None of this matters if sleep is bad, right? Uh, Low sleep, what happens? High stress. Sleep and stress are opposites. They're the yin and yang. Okay, so if we're looking at de-stressing to improve digestion, metabolic function, health, hormonal health, these other ones, they happen with good sleep quality. And usually when sleep quality is poor, it's a telltale sign the other stuff is off. So if you ever talk to me, I'll always ask you, how's your sleep? And then if you have the data, I'll say, show me your Hume, show me your health stuff. I want to know not just how you feel, but the data around that so we can look at that. Because if you're recovering, chances are you can adapt. Training breaks our body down. It is a recovery process that our body adapts, right? And then the strong foundation beats last minute fixes. This here will never touch. Again, you literally could master those first parts and eat like an idiot on game day, like we did, and still perform well, versus eat like an idiot 364 days of the year and then be like, I have my little pouches. It doesn't matter, dude. It literally doesn't matter. Okay. And I say idiot talking about myself, not else. What's next? Okay, so to get that ebook here that everyone was talking about, I'll type that up in the chat. You can just find it right here. It's a 100-page guide I made with precision nutrition on the essentials of nutrition for Taekwondo. It's all foundational stuff. It's here under tools. Here you have your metabolic and performance survey. This is one if you have questions about performance. Let me see if I can find it. Here, we'll do this. We'll find it together. I'm not trying to show you my site. I'm not trying to be weird, but I just have to find this. It's under the side here. Fill out this form. You get a thing on performance, and you'll get one on a 60-second performance assessment, the one I actually want you guys to do. You can do both of them if you want. Fill this out. It'll give me a good idea around exactly where you are here. And there's also the metabolic and hormonal health assessment if you need that. Boom, boom, boom. Go back to here. I'm working on a team nutrition program, something that is habit based around for your teams and your schools, where we work at it in phases over a year to do and kind of start implementing some of this stuff. Because not everyone needs specific high level help. Some people just need general help through the year on this. Let's see if I can find what that looks like here for you. It's kind of neat. Here we go. I'll show you what this looks like. Boom. And so we have different parts around what to do, how to implement protein focuses with your team, how to do it on a weekly level that isn't cumbersome, that you're not going to have every kid track in MyFitnessPal. Things to do on, ideas for meals, shopping lists, things like this, how to know kind of compliance levels and ways they're doing it. I mapped this out over a year for teams and stuff. And it's a really great way to kind of slowly implement these around your biggest event. So if you have questions on that, just shoot me, Tim at Juice Compound. .com. Just asked about the team program there. The final one here is here we go. And then University Live. This is where you get the recording and more. Let me go find the link for University Live here. I'll type that to you. All of it stored there. We have a whole day. I think we have 300 hours of different recordings from Olympians, CJ, Nicholas, Eric Gunn, some of our favorite people. They're doing live classes, our master classes, national team coaches, stuff at the academy. It's all in there for you to do. We're combining it into one little course. So got all the stuff for you. That said, I got a few minutes now. If you want to come up with a question, type one up for me in the chat. I might even give you priz. I might not. So type it up in the chat if you have a few questions here before we cut off. And if you have questions, what I'd love to know is if you had, give me a thumbs up if you had at least one takeaway from today's session. If you do, that'd be great. Yeah, LMNT is awesome. LMNT is not a gimmick. It is something that is wonderful. Let me see if I can find some info for you on LMNT here for you. All right, so I don't have anything great to share. Their electrolytes, they're great, especially if you drink a lot of water. Some of that times you can lead to cramping. There is really good. It's a wonderful thing. It's very safe. Yeah, the presentation will be in the university. So make sure you're in there to grab that. There's the link I put up here. I'll put it here one more time. It gets lost in the chat. I'll email out the link to everyone also. Question, 14-year-old, I have a black belt test next Saturday. Oh, congratulations. So I have no problem digesting injury, no energy health problems. What should you eat beforehand, right? If you're all good and everything is good and you're like, hey, I'm solid, I'm 14, black belt test, congrats on there. I would eat, the meal you have it next Saturday. What do you normally eat, Melina, before training? At this close, there's not time to experiment. There's not time for me to say, these are the things. Again, I would be giving you general ideas, not specific. Here, broccoli, rice, chicken. That's great. That's a general concept. 1 week out, you go with what you got. If you eat pancakes before every practice, right? No protein, just pancakes and syrup. I'm going to tell you to go with pancakes and syrup. And then after it's done, what would I tell you? Who can get the answer for Melina here? What would I probably tell her after? I would say, go right here. Go to these parts. Figure the pieces out of what you actually work on. Get your numbers, go to recalibration, and start figuring out these meals initially. So now you're not just going, well, I always eat pancakes before practice. And I did great. I've heard stories of Olympians who only ate blue M&Ms on game day. They're Olympians. So you go, well, it works. Does it work in spite of that or because of that? Okay, and just because talented people do that, right? Usain Bolt, 2008 Olympics in China. What did he eat for 2-3 weeks in the athletes' village? Who can type it up for me what he ate? Famous story. He just ate chicken nuggets from McDonald's, right? So is the takeaway to only eat chicken nuggets and that's going to make you the fastest sprinter ever? One, he trusted it. He knew it wasn't going to be weird oils and stuff. He knew it was bad, but he trusted it. That's actually a good thing, right? It was a known bad thing. Okay, I'm not going to get sick. It's great. It's fine. And two, people go, oh, could he have run faster? Maybe, but also could have ran worse. Let's see. Next question. If I don't eat enough for around 8 months, I didn't eat enough for 8 months. I'm 14 and a half years now. I'm eating good for about 5 months, right? Gain some muscle. Sounds really good there. Should I do anything in particular? Jeremiah, I'd say keep doing that for a long time. A general rule of the easiest way is 1 to 2. For every one bad week of eating, we need double to combat it and maybe more. So 6 months of like under fueling there, give yourself a year to recover. A year. And most people won't do that, but we don't want to get in there. I'm glad at that age you are aware of these things. Most of us weren't. We were on a national team being boneheads. So the fact that you're doing it now at 14 and a half is really great. You get around some long issues there. That's massive. Where do you recommend to find information about sports specific strength and taekwondo, strength and conditioning? I got from Perry Frazier. Perry, thank you. Just go to Here, let's see, GD. See if I can find this. Here's a guide for you around that, Perry, that goes over what to look for and how that works. And then GD. Let's see. I think you have a here under. I don't know if the TKD performance. Let's see, I'll have that ready for you yet. One sec, Perry. Time for a couple more questions. Here, as I try and find some links for them. Please type them up. If you have a takeaway, I'd love for you to type it up in the takeaway here. Yeah, a couple more. Blah, blah, blah. Vegan teenage athletes. Yeah. Okay. So, Mittal, I'll say this. So, as far as a health, as far as loving animals, like for being vegan, like there's really no complaints on there. That's someone's moral, I don't want to say code, but belief system. I'm not going to knock that at all. Being a vegan athlete, and I was a vegetarian athlete on the national team, it's very hard. It's very hard. Under recovery, massive. Okay, so you have to be very intentional around your protein intakes. First, second thing is protein intake, and especially for vegan type of proteins, natural food sources, you'll have to supplement a lot. The additional calories that come with the protein is high. So then we get into the part of the caloric balance becomes hard to manage with increasing protein pushes up calories. Where for animal-based protein sources, we can push up protein and keep calories a lot lower, right? Look at the difference between protein in any vegan source, compare that to shrimp or beef or things like that. And just look at the numbers. Again, I'm not making a judgment of morality on this around being vegan, but I'll tell you here, I no longer am. Okay, take that for what it's worth. I'm not here to prescribe anyone nutritional diet to anyone. I want you guys to understand the differences of what those look like for each of you. Okay, and when we know that, we go, okay, here's how it works. So again, if that's a diet that you do because you love animals, I get it. If it is you're doing it for performance reasons, I would urge you again to look at the numbers and the data behind that, and then come to your own conclusions. Oop, I don't have a whiteboard. Why? Oop, let's see. Not now. I don't want whiteboard up. That was strange. Time for one more question here. We'll get going. I want to keep it tight. Big takeaways. What's something early you did in your career related to protein intake or recommendations have changed? Gabrielle, that's a great one. Great question. What's something I did in my career early related to protein intake? I'll say this: my early protein intake was atrocious because what did I think? I could just eat a bunch of carbs. I needed my energy for training. I thought it was training, training, training. If you talk to me, I was like, I'm fueling for training. I got more training. I trained harder. This many hours, this many, and I was right about that. What parts did I massively miss? What parts did I massively miss? Recovery. Jeremiah got recovery, 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 both from body and nervous system. I had a hard time sleeping well, right? Because carbs spike us up and down, so up and up and up. And I thought, well, I'm on weight, but I was like not doing it the right way. And I was good at it. Again, I was good at it. I knew some of the stuff. I didn't know some of the other pieces that I could have done better. And I got close, but I didn't get to exactly where I wanted. And does that keep me up at night sometimes? Yeah, I think it's safe to say yes, it does. Right. So those things that we're looking for here, and we're talking about, and we're wondering why is he in the weeds on this stuff? Well, that's why. Okay, that's why, because these little details do matter. Right. I was under recovered from. You don't need to have protein like a bodybuilder. I'm not talking about getting jacked, bro. It's about performance, about gaining the right type of muscle fibers we need, making sure our nervous system, which sends the electricity from our brain to our muscles to contract, has the ability to do so and has something to contract. All right. Guys, this was wonderful today. Let's see if I can, any other, how much time is too much time cutting? That's a Matthew. Okay, great question. Here, how much time is too much time cutting? The general rule for cuts is we want them to be short, fast, and unmemorable. Short, fast, unmemorable, right? Like you want a story. I have stories I shared with you last time of a friend, of a teammate that we had to drag out of a sauna in Vietnam at 5 in the morning. Long, messy. 20 years later, we're talking about it. Not the best cut. Not the best cut. Okay. And he still got third at Worlds, but could he have won? Yeah. And again, did that probably keep him up at night? Yeah, maybe too, right? So we want to have the most, really, depending on age, a couple weeks is great. And it's going to take you time to reverse diet out of that. It's going to take you time to reverse back up because as we do that, our body's smart. I'll leave you guys with this. Look at this. I have the link here. Someone asked about strength and conditioning. Here you go. There's where you can look at some strength and conditioning stuff for Taekwondo, sport specific things for Poomsae and sparring. But our body's really smart. Your body's really smart. Does your body really care about Taekwondo? Is your body care about keeping you alive? Care about keeping you alive, and it'll do things to keep you alive. So when we cut for a long time, we try and cut over the year, trying to keep calories artificially low. I want you to fight this weight class next year, even though you're 11, you're 12. I want you to be this next. We don't know what you're going to be. That's why I said that early. Our body will suppress your energy expenditure because it goes, oh, it doesn't know that you're just doing it for a tournament. It thinks you're starving. It thinks there's a famine coming. And it will now not bring protein on, not bring muscle on, not digest the protein. It will say, hey, these extra calories, store it as body fat. Don't sleep too deep because it thinks someone's going to try and invade your village. It doesn't know you're just stressed out from training because stress is stress. So that's why you sleep and you can't get in that deep sleep where our body repairs. See, all these pieces are coming together now. That's where we repair here in our sleep cycle. Can't do it. Then we suppress our digestion so we don't get the protein benefit. And now we don't gain the muscle. And that's why that long-term calorie cut is such a trap over the years. So hopefully if that's one thing you guys got, that'd be great. You can see my things where, Gabrielle asked what's something I did early in my career related to protein intake, about not having sufficient amounts there to recover. Get those macro pieces down. If you have questions, please comment me. Please message me. I'd be happy to try and help you figure this stuff out because this is how you can stay in the game longer. You're all here because you love Taekwondo. You're all here because you want to be at your best. You're not here because you need me to teach you how to front kick better. Chances are you've probably got that. It's the other parts around that where we need support to unlock higher levels of our performance. Great. Was this helpful today, everyone? Yes? Good. I hope it was. Thank you for being here on a Sunday morning. I am going to sign off here. Again, this will be up in the university. I'll message you all when it's there. Thank you guys for being here and get a screenshot of everyone. See the gallery view. Boom. Let's see that. That way I have some fun faces I can post on Instagram. Give me a wave. Hi. Awesome. Hey, thank you all again. I appreciate you guys so much.